The 2015 Mount Everest avalanche, sparked by a massive 7.8 magnitude earthquake on April 25th, shook the world of mountaineering. The earthquake's tremors set off avalanches from the Pumori Peak, crashing into base camp. With over 700 climbers on or near the mountain, including 359 at base camp, the chaos was unavoidable. Reports mentioned tents flying across the Khumbu Glacier, with rescuers later discovering 19 lifeless bodies and aiding 61 stranded climbers. The disaster wasn't just about numbers. It exposed the mountain's hidden dangers. Did you know even experienced mountaineers couldn't descend because the main paths were destroyed? Helicopters came to the rescue the next day, airlifting the severely injured to Farish, a nearby village with a basic hospital. Despite their efforts, bad weather paused operations, leaving climbers stuck at higher camps. Some wrote on social media about the eerie desolation, describing the scene as resembling a nuclear blast. Efforts to rebuild routes at the Khumbu icefall didn't last long. Subsequent avalanches wiped out ladders and reportedly claimed 3 more Sherpa lives. By April 27th, helicopters evacuated 230 climbers from camps 1 and 2, ending days of mounting desperation. In the aftermath, climbing permits were briefly reinstated. However, aftershocks and another quake on May 12th halted all climbs. For the first time in over 40 years, Everest had no successful spring summits. The event not only redefined safety measures, but also reshaped how climbers approached the mountain. The Galtür Avalanche of 1999 shocked everyone with its sheer force, burying parts of the Austrian village under tons of snow. At 3:59 p.m. on February 23rd, a massive 50-meter high avalanche, traveling at an incredible 290 kilometers an hour, devastated the supposedly safe green zone. Buildings were destroyed, cars overturned, and 57 people were buried under the snow. Rescue teams later confirmed 31 fatalities, including 6 locals and 25 tourists, while 26 others were saved. Experts traced the cause to an unusual combination of events. A series of storms in January had dumped over 4 meters of snow on the mountains, forming a dense snowpack. The warm daytime temperatures and freezing nights created a fragile melt crust layer. When new snow piled up, it became too heavy, causing the crust to collapse. A hidden saltation layer in the avalanche increased its destructive power, baffling scientists for years. Rescue operations began immediately, with over 50 helicopters from Austria, Germany, France, Switzerland, and the US flying non-stop to evacuate over 7,000 people and deliver essential supplies. Dogs like Heiko and Jack played a key role in finding survivors under the snow. The combined efforts of rescuers transported over 18,000 people and 271 tons of supplies in under 1,000 flight hours. The disaster prompted massive changes. Hazard zones were extended, and steel fences were added to prevent similar avalanches. Galtür also built a 300-meter avalanche dam, ensuring better protection for the future. On January 10th, 1962, the Huascarán avalanche devastated small Peruvian communities in the Rio Santa Valley. Mount Huascarán, towering at 22,000 feet in the Andes, loomed over towns like Ramahurca. That evening, as families gathered for dinner, a massive glacier edge broke loose. The block of ice, weighing an estimated 6 million tons, roared as it crashed down. People in the valley had grown used to avalanches, believing they had a 20 to 30 minute window to reach safety. But this time was different. The avalanche covered 9.5 miles in just 7 minutes. The force of the avalanche buried Ramahurca and nearby towns under 40 feet of ice, mud, rocks, and trees. Survivors described how a ghostly juggernaut emerged from the clouds and thundered down, wiping out everything in its path. Bodies were swept as far as 100 miles to the Pacific Ocean, while others remained buried under the debris. Approximately 4,000 people lost their lives, and 10,000 farm animals were killed. The Santa River was blocked, causing additional flooding in nearby areas. Efforts to recover bodies and provide aid began immediately. Food, clothing, and medical supplies were sent by the Peruvian government, with help from countries like the US, Brazil, and Chile. Survivors of Ramahurca decided to rebuild their village 600 feet south, renaming it in hopes of a safer future. This tragedy reshaped how locals approached disaster preparedness and recovery. During World War I, on December 13, 1916, the Italian Alps became the site of one of the deadliest avalanches in history, claiming thousands of lives. Both Italian and Austro-Hungarian soldiers were stationed at high altitudes, battling extreme conditions rather than just each other. Soldiers built barracks into the mountains, unaware of the deadly snowpack forming above them. The winter of 1916-17 was unusually severe, with heavy snowfall followed by sudden warming, creating unstable conditions. Captain Rudolf Schmidt, stationed at Marmolada, warned his superiors about the looming danger but was ordered to stay put. At 5:30 a.m., the massive snowpack gave away. Survivors described hearing a deafening roar as the avalanche swept down, burying the barracks under tons of snow, ice, and rocks. The White Death, as it was called, killed 270 out of 321 troops in Schmidt's battalion. Rescue teams dug for days, often risking further avalanches. Only 40 bodies were recovered. On the opposing side, Italian troops suffered similar losses, with many buried alive in their camps. Combined estimates suggest nearly 2,000 soldiers from both sides perished, with additional civilian casualties in nearby villages. This catastrophe wasn't just about numbers, it reshaped military strategies and mountain warfare. Commanders learned that nature could be as deadly as any weapon, influencing how future operations were conducted in such hostile terrains. The Blons Avalanche of 1954 was a tragic event that struck the Austrian village of Blons, located in the Vorarlberg region. On January 11th, 2 avalanches hit the village within 9 hours, claiming 125 lives and destroying 1/3 of its homes. The first avalanche, starting from Flavkopf, buried 82 people, killing 34. Rescue efforts were underway when the second avalanche, from Mont Calve, buried more victims, including 16 who had just been rescued. The avalanches were classified as catastrophic, with massive destruction to the landscape and infrastructure. The area had been experiencing heavy snowfall, with over 2 meters of snow falling in just 24 hours. Rising temperatures weakened the snowpack, causing the slides. Survivors recounted it as a terrifying day, with snow burying homes and cutting off communications. One rescuer described using flares to work in the darkness, as power lines and water supplies had been destroyed. Rescue efforts were delayed due to damaged infrastructure, but marked a historic first for Austria with the use of airlifts. Helicopters from the US, Switzerland, and other nations brought rescue dogs, supplies, and medical aid. Some survivors were trapped under the snow for up to 62 hours. The disaster spurred major advancements in avalanche safety. Reforestation efforts improved the natural barriers, while steel snow bridges and wind drift barriers were installed. Improved forecasting and warning systems now help prevent similar tragedies, making the Blons Avalanche a turning point for avalanche preparedness in the Alps. The 1970 Yungay Avalanche, triggered by a massive earthquake, stands as one of the deadliest natural disasters in history. On May 31st, the Ancash earthquake struck Peru, dislodging a massive slab of rock from Huascarán's north peak. This rockfall, combined with glacier ice and loose soil, turned into a mud flow hurtling down at speeds of up to 270 miles per hour. The wave of destruction overwhelmed the natural barriers, obliterating Yungay and 10 nearby villages, leaving an estimated 30,000 dead. Yungay, located in the fertile Cayayang de Hueles Valley, was a hub of activity that day as people gathered for market and church services. Within minutes, the mud flow struck, burying the town under 16 feet of debris. Survivors described an air blast followed by a wall of mud and boulders crashing through buildings. Only 400 people survived, many of them children attending a circus on higher ground and others who sought refuge on Cemetery Hill. The avalanche's impact stretched far beyond Yungay. Downstream, the Rio Santa overflowed, flooding Caraz and other towns. Relief efforts were hindered by destroyed roads and bridges, but international aid helped rebuild. Survivors resisted relocation, rebuilding near the original site as Yungay Norte. Today, the old town is a national cemetery, with remnants like palm trees and a Christ statue serving as a memorial. The tragedy led to improved hazard awareness and disaster preparedness in Peru. The Val-d'Isère Avalanche of 1970 shocked France with its devastating impact, killing at least 39 young skiers and injuring 37 more. It hit a chalet at the Alpine Resort during breakfast, leaving little warning beyond a loud rumbling noise. The 3-story building, housing about 200 people, mostly in their 20s, remained intact but was engulfed by over 100,000 cubic yards of snow crashing down from a 7,000-foot crest. Survivors described being swept through windows or buried under snow, some trapped for hours in pockets of air. Freakishly warm weather and high winds had destabilized the snowpack after heavy snowfall in the days before. Winds exceeding 100 miles per hour and above freezing temperatures created perfect conditions for the slide. Rescue efforts were hindered by bad weather, damaged roads, and limited communication, forcing ambulances to navigate treacherous mountain paths to transport the injured. President Pompidou declared it a national tragedy, dispatching government officials to oversee relief efforts. The tragedy raised questions about avalanche risk management in ski resorts. Survivors like Jacques Siffelin recalled the challenge of freeing people trapped alike in concrete, while others, like Chantal Demeur, survived hours under the snow. This event, the worst European avalanche since 1900, highlighted the need for better evacuation plans and infrastructure to minimize future risks in such areas. It spurred significant changes in managing avalanche threats in ski resorts. The Tunnel Creek Avalanche in 2012 left a lasting impact on Washington's skiing community. A group of 16 skiers and snowboarders sought fresh powder but instead faced a massive avalanche triggered by unstable snow conditions. The slide started from a pristine meadow above, cracking like lightning and sending a slab of snow barreling downhill at 70 miles per hour. Within moments, it became a force of destruction, snapping trees and dragging rocks in its path, along with some of the skiers. Elise Sogstad, a professional skier, activated her airbag backpack in a desperate bid for survival. As she tumbled uncontrollably through the icy chaos, she realized this might be the end. Snow filled her mouth, and she was thrown against unseen objects. When the avalanche stopped, she found herself buried, but fortunate to have her face and hands free, giving her a slim chance to breathe and signal rescuers. The avalanche measured over a football field in length and nearly 20 feet high in some spots. It left a jagged pile of ice and debris, a stark contrast to the undisturbed snowfields around it. Survivors described the terrifying silence that followed, broken only by frantic rescue efforts. This tragedy underscored the unpredictable danger of backcountry skiing and reshaped safety protocols. It became a crucial reminder of the need for proper training, equipment, and respect for nature's power in these unmonitored terrains. Which avalanche's story impacted you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know if you'd like to see a part 2 exploring more avalanche events. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the events that have shaped our world, because every avalanche has a story worth telling.